Well, folks, we're in a season finale, and this is some biblical stuff. Might as well even say that this is wilder than that one time Youngya made those facial expressions. Okay, if you're brand new, drop a thumbs up and let me show you this, because we got a movie to catch as well. But first of all, Jim Ryan denies that Sony is misleading regulators over Xbox's Activision Blizzard deal. Damn. First of all, I need all the Sony ponies patrolling. I want all the bots patrolling, and I need your response. I want you with your cap meters, because quite frankly, the PlayStation boss speaks out. And essentially, this is what he says: Microsoft is a tech giant with a long history of dominating industries, and wait for it, it is highly likely that the choice is gamers, more like toxic gamers. Toxic gamers have today will disappear if this deal goes ahead. Damn, son, like I just cannot even compute, ladies and gentlemen. And he is back. Jim Ryan is back, ladies and gentlemen, and guess what? This situation is so wild that even the FTC is getting their schlongs involved. The US FTC, the Popo, the government, they're getting involved, and they're now looking to build this case, and they're looking to block, not even just block, potentially even sue Microsoft. And I just cannot even believe this one, man. Yo, get your pitchforks ready, because apparently FTC is looking to block the deal. They're building this case against Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard, stating that the FTC has been asking for sworn statements. In other words, in StudMuffin terms, they're looking for people that can say, I swear to God, Xbox is bad, this deal is bad, this shouldn't go through. And I need your response. Like, one, if you think if this deal will go through; two, if you think the deal will not go through. This situation that we're under is so wild that Phil Spencer, just out of nowhere, he was like, okay, PlayStation, hey, you go, okay, we're gonna give you a 10-year deal for Call of Duty. You can keep Call of Duty for 10 years straight, okay? Now leave us alone. But Jim Ryan declined to comment, and this is the thing that we're talking about. But guess what? We got a movie to catch. Drop a thumbs up and let's check it out.
It's a bargain. So we know that Sony, to put it nicely, is not a fan of Microsoft.
Sony's a hater.
Possibly, almost definitely, acquiring Activision Blizzard. Like, they've made it abundantly clear to multiple regulators throughout the world that they do not want this deal to happen, because they do not think that they can compete with Microsoft if they own the Call of Duty IP.
Wrong is what Phil Spencer would say, but I want your immediate thoughts on the situation. Do you think that Jim Ryan is just being a drama queen? You think that PlayStation cannot compete if they lose Call of Duty? And quite frankly, Phil Spencer and Xbox, they have been saying it dead ass that if we acquire Call of Duty, we're gonna keep it multi-platform. But the sus part here is that, and I know like a lot of people are like, yo man, you know what, Jim Ryan is toxic, you're toxic gamers, you guys don't even know. But listen, man, the situation that is suspect is that why Phil Spencer is saying few years, and then they added 3 more years, making it till 2027, and now they're giving it a 10-year deal, making it 2032, at least till 2032. Call of Duty can stay on PlayStation. After that, nobody knows, right? So it's very weird, it's very suspect that they are saying this. And part of me really believes that after this deal, if Sony accepted, right, like after 10 years, it's likely gonna go Xbox exclusive. Previously we were saying that okay, it's gonna go exclusive like in 2025, then we were like, okay bruh, maybe it can go exclusive in 2027, and now we're like, okay bruh, it can, if Sony accepts it, if that deal goes through, it can potentially go exclusive on Xbox and PC after 2032. I just cannot even compute, man. And at the end of the day, nobody knows what's exactly gonna happen. Maybe this deal is not even gonna go through.
This is actually what they said to Brazilian regulators, who in the end ended up greenlighting the deal. But this is what they had to say. No other developer can devote this same level of resources and expertise to game development. Even if they could, Call of Duty is heavily entrenched so that no rival, no matter how relevant, can overtake it. Call of Duty has been the top-selling game for nearly every year over the past decade, and for its genre, it's overwhelmingly the best-selling game. It is synonymous with first-person.
Best-selling.
Sony has also met with EU regulators to express their concerns about this deal and how it may make Microsoft a monopoly, essentially, when it comes to gaming. Not that the deal in and of itself would make Microsoft a monopoly, but it would kind of be the first domino, or not the first, but one of the first few dominoes that would set this off, where Microsoft would have a stranglehold on the gaming industry and Sony and Google actually went to EU regulators and expressed their concerns.
My guy Deadass took the Sony Pony Airlines and went down to Brussels and told the regulators, don't do it. But at the end of the day, I mean, damn, man. Surely Sony is gonna do everything they can to stop the deal. That's their business after all, okay? They're gonna try their absolute best to stop the deal. And right now, it is looking very weird. It's like 50-50. The chances are kind of like 50-50. I would even say that, yes, I do play on the Sony ponies out there. But listen, man, from a non-biased perspective, from somebody that only looks at PlayStation and Xbox as plastics, because at the end of the day, they don't care about you. You need to wake up, okay? PlayStation will not come give you a BJ, okay? Xbox is not gonna come there and give you a BJ. You need to stop worshiping the plastics. Damn, son, like, follow God.
Now, we know Microsoft promised initially that there would be 3 more years of Call of Duty games to PlayStation platforms, and Sony was like, yeah, that's not enough. Well, Microsoft sweetened the deal even more, and Sony is still saying that's not enough. This comes from WindowsCentral.com. I'll read it to you, then we'll discuss. So one big opponent of the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal is Sony, who is Microsoft's chief competitor in the console space. While most other publishers have generally said little to decry the deal, rival platform holders like PlayStation and Google have quietly, and not so quietly, expressed their concern to regulators that Microsoft could end up with too much power in the space.
Google is team Sony ponies though. Google was like, okay, we're not gonna be siding with Microsoft. And Google was dead ass blaming Google Stadia failure on Microsoft. Like that, in Urdu, I would like to say, "Mera Google Stadia kha gaye, ye pehne lode mera Google Stadia kha gaye." That's what Google was saying. Dead ass. I just cannot even compute. My brain left the server. My brain left the building, bruh.
To foreclose games like Call of Duty from their platforms. Microsoft shot back, stating that it has no plans to remove Call of Duty from PlayStation at least, initially offering Sony a 3-year contract that would guarantee access to the game. PlayStation previously said that was not good enough. Now, a new report has suggested that Microsoft has conceded not 3, but now 10 years, a decade of
10 years. 10 years, Bumbleclad. Listen, that's the part that I'm like, okay, bro, like, that you know that at one point Microsoft is gonna make Call of Duty exclusive, and after all, if you're gonna pay $70 billion, you know you cannot make that money by growing Nesquik in the backyard. And for real though, like, I feel like Call of Duty is a massive game, okay? Personal opinion, okay? Not, or I should say personal facts, okay? Not opinion, personal facts. In my honest personal facts, Call of Duty should be on all the platforms. So far, that's what Phil Spencer is saying, but they're still offering them the contract, which to me is understandable, because if you pay them $70 billion, in a way, it's yours, but they're still trying to be like nice, and they're like, Sony, here you go, we're gonna let you have it for 10 plus years, but after that, let us actually make it exclusive. Obviously, they're not saying it, and nobody knows what's gonna happen, but when you say 3 years guaranteed, 10 years, it tells me that after this time, it can potentially go exclusive, right? But it's just very weird, man.
Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer has also been conducting various interviews to emphasize that there's no plan to remove or degrade Call of Duty on PlayStation, despite Sony's claims to the contrary. Sony declined to comment on the 10-year licensing deal report, while claiming that Microsoft has a history of dominating
it's bad, it gotta be lifetime, says Sony.
Industries, while claiming gamers' choices will disappear, without explaining exactly what choices they're referring to. Now, Microsoft bought Mojang.
What choices you think they're talking about? Are they talking about like special premium Sony ponies? Are they talking about like if Microsoft has it? I genuinely feel like that once the deal, and if the deal goes through, it's not like gamers are not gonna be strong and independent. It's more like Sony is not gonna be able to be strong and independent. That's what they're worried about, man. That's what they're worried about.
Say, the developer of Minecraft for billions of dollars back in 2014. And Minecraft is available everywhere. Minecraft's available on PlayStation platforms, mobile, PC, whatever. Think of a platform you could play Minecraft on it. They literally, I think, had a Minecraft. I could be wrong about this, but no, I remember playing it. They had Minecraft on Raspberry Pis. You could play Minecraft. Don't worry.
Minecraft is on all the platforms, but I think they were talking about Bethesda. I don't remember, but there was one game that Xbox was saying that they're gonna keep it multi-platform, but then they kind of like they pumped the brakes, they 180, and that's the argument Sony is using against them. And this is where the UK is currently like on investigation. The FTC is like getting people, and they're like, swear to God that this is a bad deal. Join the forces, and let's try to block the deal. Let's potentially even sue Xbox, Microsoft division. Let's even sue Xbox. It's just kind of wild. I mean, I'm liking this entertainment, but it's like beating a dead horse at this point. This has been ongoing for months and months. Can a brother perhaps get GTA 6 at this point? I mean, damn.
Like, and if that's a sign of what Microsoft's going to do with Call of Duty, at least from a being able to purchase it for a PlayStation platform perspective, Sony has nothing to worry about. What I think they're worried about is this. I'm sure Microsoft is going to make Call of Duty games available on Game Pass. And Game Pass, depending on which plan you have, you could spend around $10 a month. And if Call of Duty is included with Game Pass, people may be like, hey, I'm going to go out and buy a Series X or Series S so I could play Call of Duty.
And that's the part that we actually talked about it, and this is not even a far-fetched theory. You were talking about it. I've been reading your comments as well. I was talking. We were all talking about it, right? Like, you do not need to be a NASA professor or NASA astronaut or a scientist to be able to compute this. Anyone with an IQ above 5 can compute this, right? Because Sony, they dead-ass said that if you want to have Call of Duty, if you want to have Activision, you cannot have higher performance on Xbox. You cannot make any content exclusive, and on top, you cannot put it on the Game Pass, because if they put it on Game Pass, they're gonna be like this. They're gonna be strong. They're gonna be independent, and they do not want Microsoft to be independent on that part, with at least Call of Duty as of right now. Microsoft is an independent company. It's bigger than Google as of right now, which I just cannot even compute. Last time I thought I was Googling it, right? I was like, okay, if I Google it on Google, that who's bigger, like Google versus Microsoft, right? Like, I'm Googling on Google, so Google will most likely be like, okay, we're bigger, right? Because you're Googling on Google. But even on Google said that Microsoft is bigger. I just cannot even compute, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely wild.
Duty Modern Warfare 2 or whatever Call of Duty we're at that point after the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal goes through, and people will be like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy Xbox Game Pass, buy an Xbox console, and just play Call of Duty that way instead of spending the $70. I don't even know about that, because if it's the demographic is people that just want to play Call of Duty.
Let's be real, right? Let's be real. If you had the option between $10 versus $70, which one would you pick? Most people would pick $10, right? I know some of you are like, wrong, SKizzle. You're wrong. You're toxic. I'm gonna be going with $70. No, hear me out. Listen, if you're someone that buys Call of Duty games every year and you play it more than 6 months, then that $10 option might not be good for you, right? In a way, because because that $10 within 7 months is gonna reach up to $70, right? And if you continue to play for a year plus, then Call of Duty is gonna be more expensive. Now, if Call of Duty is the only game that you wanna play for a year straight and you wanna purchase all the upcoming Call of Duty games, then it's gonna be better to buy Call of Duty on its own by paying $70, right? But if you're someone that want to play like other games that the Game Pass has to offer alongside the older games, the newer ones, whatever Xbox got right now at the moment, then Game Pass for $10 to $15 a month is actually a really good option. And Sony knows that. This is why Sony, PlayStation, they tried to have that PlayStation Plus Premium, and it is not as successful as the Game Pass because it doesn't have the first party games day one. For example, God of War Ragnarok, it's an excellent game. I absolutely loved it, but it is not on the Plus Premium. Am I mad about that? Absolutely not, because the game is quality. But had it been that that game was on the PlayStation Plus Premium, you know that premium PlayStation Plus Premium sales would have been through the roof. That's when it would start to really compete with Game Pass, and Sony knows that. But if they put it, Sony is gonna lose money, so that's why they're not doing it, and that's why they're kind of worried that, hey man, like if Activision is acquired by Microsoft, they're gonna put Call of Duty on Game Pass, and that's when they can see a lot of new potential PlayStation Sony Pony customers turn out to be bots. They're gonna transfer into bots, and they don't
They
want
only
that.
play a couple other AAA games a year. Game Pass may not be a incentive for them to stick to the Microsoft platform. I keep hitting the bird.
Bruh, don't hit the bird, man.
These exclusives better, and they're not really going to take advantage of Game Pass, and all they really want to play is Call of Duty. Sony, I don't think that'll dissuade them from buying a PlayStation console and then buying Call of Duty for it.
Wrong is what Jim Ryan would like to say.
I really think you're being over paranoid about this and overestimating how detrimental not having Call of Duty would be to the PlayStation platform. But that's not even on the table because Microsoft is like, hey, we will give you a decade of Call of Duty games if you shut up. And they don't want it.
A decade is not too much, okay? We need 100 years. We need 100 years right now.
They think that Xbox Game Pass, they fear it. They think that people, oh, you could get Call of Duty on Xbox Game Pass. That's all I need. But the thing that scratches my head about Sony is that Sony, you don't even offer a good portion of your new first-party games on PlayStation Plus Premium. So you're not even
deadass. You see what I was saying? See what I was saying? We were deadass talking about
doing that anyway. Like, so what are you just saying? Hey, Microsoft, you offer a better value than us, and we can't compete. Yeah, that's essentially what you are saying. But if they're going to give you a decade worth of Call of Duty games, and if people only really play Call of Duty and want to play it on a PlayStation platform and have a couple other PlayStation exclusives, Xbox Game Pass is going to be a non-issue to them anyway. And I have a feeling if we live in a post-Microsoft owning Activision Blizzard world, that it's going to barely put a dent in Call of Duty sales on PlayStation platforms.
Damn. Now, I want to know, like, did it expand your mind? I want your immediate thoughts on this one. Like, I'm pretty sure you were taking notes, right? You were actually looking at I'm not talking about taking notes of that, okay? I'm talking about taking notes of this situation. Come back to planet Earth. I want your immediate thoughts. You think that post Microsoft owning Activision, you think that that's gonna be bad? Or you think that's gonna be good? Or you think it's not gonna happen? I want to know if you're team Sony with this one, if you're team Xbox, or you're team gamers, and you are just hoping for the best, and you're like, okay, if Microsoft owns it, then I want Call of Duty to be really good, and I hope it stays multi-platform like they are saying, and even 10 years after, if Sony accepts the deal, 10 years after that deal, it still stays on all the platforms, and I want Call of Duty to be good. Are you that team, or you're like, nah, man, like if Xbox gets it, then it's gonna be bad? I want to know your thoughts, but guess what? The FTC, they're not liking the situation, okay? You want to know what they actually did? And there's also a massive game on sale for $10. You might want to be fast. Click on this video on the screen, and I'll see you right there.